Welcome to the stage, Mr. David Roberts.
Welcome, everybody. It's my job to make you feel comfortable and welcome here today. I know for some of you, this might be the first luncheon. For some of you, this is actually maybe the first time in Indiana, so welcome. Welcome both. We do this pretty much every Tuesday, so you're welcome to come back anytime. No, this is a lovely event center, and we've been here for the last couple years. We're grateful to be back again, and grateful to have so many folks with us, so thank you for coming. It's also my job, oh my gosh, that picture is definitely before I started working at the BIC. No, I didn't, less gray hair at that time. And Les Alexander had hair when he started just a few months ago. So, but my job is really to take you through the last 10 years, plus a few, and you'll see what I mean here, as to how the BIC came to be. We're celebrating 10 years of operation, but that doesn't mean it's 10 years of existence or 10 years of planning. The story of batteries in Indiana actually goes back a very long time. We started here in the 90s, and by the way, I do my own slides, so if it's, you'll recognize that these are definitely not done by a professional. But the story of batteries goes back really to the 60s, 70s, 80s, and the work that GM was doing here in Indiana. A guy named Bill Wylam was known as Battery Bill back in the day, and I think there's probably a couple people in the crowd now that were young engineers that were 2 or 3 rungs underneath Bill and his team. But his team, including folks, you might know Bob Gallion and John Waters and others, worked on the EV1 project that was part of the Delco-Remy, Delco Electronics projects back in the day under GM's leadership. That powertrain and the batteries were built in Northeast Indianapolis, in Castleton at a facility that is still there today. It's very close to the Roche campus for those of you that are in the Fishers area, in the Castleton area. But a lot of history has transpired that built what we used to call, or what we called battery bloodlines. During my time at the IEDC, this is how we would introduce the topic of why batteries and why Indiana. Folks often would think about Bay Area. Maybe Austin, Texas, UT Austin did a lot of work early on, or University of Michigan. But this is really going back historically into our history. Then you see in the 2000s, BAE Systems, Allison Transmissions started developing hybrid drivetrains for buses. Cummins was working in that space. Interdel, Alter Nano, companies like Bright Automotive were in the ecosystem. And then you see Energy Systems Network launching in 2009. This is an important event because under Paul Mitchell's leadership at Energy Systems Network, we saw a lot of interesting projects being launched out of that public-private partnership. One of them being the Battery Innovation Center, which I'll talk about in just a second. And then you see in the 2010s, leading into the decision to launch the Battery Innovation Center, a lot of other companies and activity. All right, so the next one's an eye chart. This is a memo that was written in October of 2010 that outlined the entire need and the urgency for something that would eventually be called the Battery Innovation Center. And what's not pictured on here are about 6 or 7 more pages of content and business plan. And I had the opportunity to review that in preparation for today, and it's really amazing because as you read through it, you see principles of national security, of securing a robust battery supply chain in North America, supporting not just the automotive and mobility markets, but the energy storage systems in the stationary context. And it reinforced to me that there is no shortage of need today. And if anything, it's even more of a present need for the resources that Battery Innovation Center brings to the ecosystem in where we are today. Perhaps even more so given where foreign competition has gone since the 2010 era, and you know, in some ways, the United States is playing catch up in some ways. So here in 2010, there was a December meeting. Vic Lechtenberg from Purdue University, Paul Mitchell, mentioned John Waters, and Kyle Werner from Crane. And so you can see very early on Crane's influence in the planning and the scoping of what became the Battery Innovation Center. You can see our coloring changed a little bit, but the logo has remained very much the same. There was a planning session for a couple days, and what came out of it was unified support for something like this thing that has become Battery Innovation Center. As you look along, you'll be grateful that graphics have changed over the last 12-year period and have become much easier to read. But you can see we had the general outline for the BIC capabilities. And what became upper left-hand corner, you can see Keystone Group did a great rendering of the facility, and it's essentially what we have now that's been in operation for the last 10 years. You'll see a beautiful entryway. Those polished floors are now consumed with a lot of equipment and a lot of activity. You'll see in the lower right-hand corner, that's a submarine string of VLRA batteries. So again, that close nexus with Crane has been seen throughout. And I'll just pause here and say the people piece has been really important. One of the things that makes Battery Innovation Center so special are the folks that have come and been a part of the team and then graduated out and had opportunities to move on to other areas, generally speaking within the industry, areas of impact in different companies. And it's just been really rewarding to see the alumni network grow from the Battery Innovation Center. The leadership has been the right people at the right time for the right need. The original executive director and CEO, Captain Chuck Lasota, came off base. He was technical director, was just the right person to help galvanize the vision for the Battery Innovation Center and help launch the project. He passed away suddenly, unexpectedly in 2014 at the end of the year. In 2015, I was asked to come and help lead as the CEO for a while. About a month later, I recruited Ben Reitzman to come with me. We had been working together at Interdel. And in 2017, I had the opportunity to join the state, and Ben took over as the CEO. During that period, we were able to pivot from, let's call it a 99% DoD focus into a much larger percentage of a commercial focus and serve the industry at large. And Ben really grew that opportunity then, that early pivot, and brought us to a position now where the team has been able to support well over 400, potentially approaching 500 different companies over the course of time. And so then Les Alexander had the opportunity to join us as a CEO in October of last year, and Les brings a great background of both commercial and DoD. He was a naval procurement officer, so he understands that world much better, I think, than I do or the rest of the board. And it's just nothing but broader opportunities and expanded footprint moving forward, and he'll share some of that vision as well. I couldn't do this none of us could do this without the support of a great board. From early on, we had representation from the community. Folks from an organization called Radius were involved. Originally, Lieutenant Governor Becky Skillman was on the board, then transitioned into Jeff Quile and others over the course of time. Greene County has been phenomenal in terms of financial support. The board has also enjoyed some industry folks over the course of time. And then two board members that have maintained consistency throughout would be Paul Mitchell, I mentioned him earlier, and Chad Pittman, who can't be with us today. He's deployed serving our country. So it's fantastic to serve the community. As a nonprofit, we don't have shareholders. We answer to the public at large. And so that's really been a great liberty and freedom that we've had to advance the industry the right way at the right time. So here's just a couple of notes. Again, a little bit of an eye chart, but this is all good news. If you can't read it, it's all good news. Where do we stand today? It's really on, again, the precipice of this huge opportunity being magnified. You'll see some of the headlines on the right-hand side. Axios, we're grateful that they chose to incubate at the Battery Innovation Center after coming through an accelerator program with Heritage Group, a local organization that brought them into the state from UC San Diego. You see some really big gaudy numbers being announced, like NTEC, 1.5 billion separator facility in Terre Haute. We talked about the Stellantis and Samsung SDI investment in Kokomo, Samsung SDI and GM up in New Carlisle, massive numbers around facilities that total over $5.5 billion of battery manufacturing investment. There's just been a tremendous run. Toyota, I think just last week, it was announced that they had another $1.4 billion that they're investing in their Princeton, Indiana facility. So we are grateful at Battery Innovation Center to have played a small role in continuing that battery bloodline, that battery tradition here in Indiana, and again, nothing but great things ahead. The last point that I'll make is the last point on the slide that BIC announced. We're going to expand a pilot line activity into Indianapolis. If you think about it, buttressing the capabilities in Westgate, that's really the intention, where Westgate will continue to really be the TRL 1, 2, 3 early stage validation, the test and evaluation of those early stage technologies. And then there's a facility that's not too far from here, 5 minutes away, called Emerging Manufacturing Collaboration Center, where you'll think about how do you get ready for production, that next valley of death in TRL 4, 5, 6, and really helping folks at larger scale production viability. Les can tell you more details, but the expectation is that'll come online early next year. We've got some exciting partnerships to announce actually today.